Word of warning, everyone, I have never enjoyed the SimCity games on consoles. None of them. I know, you're screaming blasphemy at your screens right now, but I wanted to be honest with you all. I wanted to tell you the truth. I've always enjoyed these type of games on PC. They've just controlled better, played better, and ran smoother. And those exact same words sum up my feelings of SimCity 2000 on the Saturn perfectly. While the system does a decent attempt at porting over the PC classic, it struggles to keep up with all the number crunching going on in the background, and as such, it feels as though you're playing the game on an extremely outdated PC back in 1995. Returning to this game in 2016 was no easy task. I put the game away several times before I said, "No, damn it, the people demand a review." So what this means is the footage you're seeing here is pretty much a mix mash of footage from several failed attempts to play the game for any significant amount of time. The Saturn port of SimCity 2000 is an interesting one in that it was actually the very first home console release of SimCity 2000. Apparently, it even predated the SNES port. It was one of the very first games announced for the system, and it arrived on the platform shortly after launch. This version includes many of the kits or add-ons that were released on the PC version. The disaster kit, for example, is included here, and during gameplay it's not uncommon for a hurricane to hit, causing you to react accordingly. Now, that being said, there are lots and lots and lots of things that are not included in this version, but I am not a hardcore enough fan to recognize all of the omissions. So what is SimCity 2000 about? Well, as the name implies, it's a simulation game where you build and operate a city, right down to designing the way the city looks, to how the power plant will generate electricity, to where you run electrical wires, plumbing, and so on and so forth. It's extraordinarily technical. You have to manage the whole thing. And then from there, you have to convince citizens to stay in your city, which means you need to educate them, police them, and so much more. The game includes 17 already made cities, which you can mess around with, and 18 disaster scenarios for you to try your hand at. And believe me, it is very, very, very hard. The footage you're seeing here is pretty much garbage compared to what I'm sure many of you have done. But the reason for that is because the game runs so poorly. I can't begin to tell you how slow this game feels and plays. Even on the fastest speed, it is ridiculously slow. It makes the experience painful, to say the least. Well, at least it did for me. Just pressing a button to bring up the interface or to select, say, road takes multiple tries before it registers. It's clear the Saturn simply couldn't handle what was being asked of it, so it makes playing almost impossible. I honestly wanted to shut this off after about 2 minutes of playing just because it felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there waiting for the inputs to register. I also need to mention that one city requires all of the internal memory of the Saturn, so a backup cart is absolutely mandatory if you want to save multiple creations or cities. Now I'm going to turn this review over to you guys. While I did enjoy the game on the PC, like I said before, I've never enjoyed the console versions. They just didn't do it for me. What I would like to know is how many of you out there have actually played this version of this game and been able to stick with it? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is a game that's almost unplayable because of how slow it is and how sluggish it is. And it's a real shame too, because the Saturn has a mouse, which makes playing the game actually not that bad. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything to the speed. So I know most of you are probably quite disappointed with this review in that I can't really show you too much or say too much about it, and it's a shame because it is a classic. Unfortunately, at least for me, it's a classic on PC. So I would recommend going and checking out that version.